Hi, welcome to Talking Books and Stuff, the program that talks all about books and writing and stuff. Here's your host, Dennis Rimmer.
Hey there, just before we get into the podcast, a quick reminder we could use your financial help. Please support us on Patreon so we can keep on keeping on. Check the Patreon links to donate. Hope you enjoy this episode. This is Talking Books and Stuff. Dennis here, and we are with Jason Kernan today. Very interesting story we're going to get to. Jason, first of all, we are here in northwestern Washington State, and you are located where?
Just across the pond. I'm in the UK, South UK in Bournemouth, Dorset.
Bournemouth, okay. Is that close to Southampton?
It's not far. We're about 26 miles away from Southampton.
So the D-Day landings forces started kind of in your area?
It was around the area, but it was before my time, I will say.
Mine too. I didn't have any relatives that were directly involved, but I had uncles who served in the Sicily invasion. They both got wounded, and my father was in the Air Force. My mother was in the Air Force. So everybody has a connection, even if we don't think we do, to
I think I do, because the name Kernan is Irish. So that's when the Irish were over as well. So I think there's definitely a connection there.
Good.
Definitely.
So just to ease into things, before we get started, what do you do in the morning? Do you have a cuppa, or do you have coffee?
It's got to be done. It's got to be done. I have a cup of coffee, and then I've got to get the children ready for school. And then as soon as I've done that, it's a cup of tea. I have a cup of tea in the morning, get the kids ready for school, get them shipped off, and then it's straight in front of the computer doing the writing.
Gotcha.
As much as I can.
That's your job, as it were. What's your football team in that area?
I'm afraid I don't support football. I'm not a soccer person myself.
Well, actually, I should. My father, my uncles, my grandfather apparently played for Southport, but I did not inherit any of those talents.
Nor did I.
I'm a hockey player. I wrote a story last year about how I am the second worst hockey player in the world, ice hockey, because there's got to be somebody out there worse than I am, but that's about it.
There's always someone better and there's always someone worse.
That's what they say. Okay, well, thanks very much, Jason, for being with us today here on Talking Books and Writing and Stuff. So we're going to talk about books and writing and stuff. And jumping to the heart of the matter, what are you writing right now and why?
Okay, the reason why I'm writing right now is to do with my mother. I'm not actually the person that's done the stories. My mum's done all the writing, and she done it a long time ago. It is raw, I will say that. It is raw. She done a lot of, what happened is that when I was about 19, which is, we're going, 31 years ago now, and she tried to commit suicide, and she was given 24 hours. They done everything they could. And after that, now before that, she could not put two words together, leave alone any writing. And I can only tell you what I know from what I see, what I have seen, and what I went through. I can't say from my mother's point of view. So she tried committing suicide. She came out of the hospital, and then she went into a hospital called St. Anne's, which is for people that try and commit suicide, people that have breakdowns and things like that. And when she come out of there was a couple of other things that had happened before that, which maybe I'll go into a little bit later on. But after that, she just started writing. She wrote, like, I wouldn't say poems, but more verses. And she just wasn't there. She was there, but not there. And they put it down to automatic handwriting. At the time, I didn't know, but she did have an NDE, which is a near-death experience as well. And she went to churches, priests, and things like that. And she was never really religious. She never wrote. She's never read the Bible at all. And they had said that, this is their words, that she had become a mystic, automatic writing, and she wrote and wrote and wrote. I mean, I've written up, drafted up, should I say, about 105 pages so far, and we've still got about another 200-300 still to go. There are so many verses and poems. There's writings about what she went through, and it was. It's taken me 19 years to do this now, because some of the things I kept it all, and I promised her on her deathbed, because she did try and publish some of her work. I think she got a couple of verses done, and she wrote to America in the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she was trying to publish and publish. I've got letters here that were sent to publishers and that from herself. So I knew she was doing this writing, but at the time I wasn't really interested. I was a 19-year-old kid, and she's suddenly going on about God, religion, and these sort of things. And for me, I wasn't brought up that way, and it was just a sudden shock for me, and I just didn't have the interest, unfortunately. And oh God, I might be digressing a bit here. Going through the writings now, all I saw of my mum was the outside. Okay, I just saw the person. That's my mum. Love my mum to bits, but I didn't know what had gone on inside her mind. She didn't tell me any of these things, and going through the writings here and there, I even asked if somebody would do the writing for me a long time ago, and I never got anywhere with it, because a couple of things I read here and there, and it was really on the heartstrings, and I couldn't bring myself to it. And it was only, I'd say about a month ago, I've kept all the writings in a box. I saw the box up on the side, and I thought, do you know what? I'm not as fast as the typers, and I've got the headphone set, so I figured out that now on Google Docs you can talk and it types for you. It doesn't get everything perfect, but right. with Grammarly and things like that, it helps. So I thought, do you know what? I could do this now. I can do this now, and I started, and I'd say in the first week I broke down about 5 times nearly every day, and I kept pushing through it, thinking I've got to do this. And the reason I was breaking down is because I felt so guilty that I, as a youngster or a young teenager or a late teenager, I wasn't bothered about it, and now I wish I was. I really wish I was, because she had been traumatized from as a child. Now, in her writings at the beginning, so far of what I've gone through, I didn't know what that trauma was. So I have asked family, and I did find out what it was. Because I wondered, because one thing I thought it was to do with being, sounds funny, but it can be scary, because it did happen to my daughter a few weeks ago, being chased by cows. I thought it was that. But it wasn't. I found out the other day it wasn't that. And I wondered, how can you have a fear of people when you were traumatized by cows? I couldn't figure that out.
Right.
So I did make some inquiries, and then it was a big, massive shock. And to be honest with you, I wish I never asked her. And the reason she was seriously, and I mean, didn't go into too much detail, but she was seriously abused by her father. So it had a big, major impact on her whole entire life. And you see in the writings that she she had a breakdown after being married. After divorce, sorry, she had a breakdown, and then she was on these tranquilizers, steroids, the Ativan, and Valium, and all sorts. So the things I saw, as well as the spiritual things, as part of us for seeing them, there was other things I saw that my mother went through that a child really shouldn't go through and see, to be honest with you. And her idea of writing this book, her book was, or books, to be honest with you, so there's a lot there, was to help people that have been going through what she's gone through, breakdowns, being addicted to drugs, so it could be alcohol, any type of drug addiction, to a whole host of other things that she'd been going through. And she wanted to put the word out there to show that you're not on your own. There is something else. And I'm not a religious person, but I do believe there is something else there. There is definitely something else there, because I've seen it myself. I have seen it when she passed away in 2001. I had my experiences. I saw things that nobody else had seen. So that's about it, really, so far.
So far,
before I can explain.
Yes, and this is very interesting, and it's fortuitous, perhaps, that this should fall into our laps, because in previous episodes on talking books and writing and stuff, and by the way, I'm Dennis Rimmer. We're talking with Jason Kernan today from across the pond, as they say in England, and this is about mental health, and that's a big issue, and it's very important in our family. And I like the way the first page, the first line I've read is something that we've also in our circles talked about. Unlike a broken bone, the mental and physical pain cannot be seen. Exactly. When you have mental illness, you look the same on the outside. Everybody thinks you're fine because you can put on a happy face, perhaps. And so your story, the pages I've read so far, are about a person, your mother, with a mental illness, and she's trying to cope with it. Is that pretty much what the story is about from your perspective?
Definitely. She coped a lot. She coped a lot. As far as my memory goes back, she was gambling as well. She became a gambler. That was her crux, I guess. So it had been going on. Mum and Dad got divorced about when I was 10 years old, and she finally passed away in 2001. So that was about 30 years of her suffering. She suffered. She, just going by the outside, she suffered. But looking into the book, it was far worse than what I saw. Because I was only young. I was like I say, I was 18, 19 when we got into a flat, and I started to sit. Well, I saw things previous to that, but it was about 18, 19 that I keep going to that time, because that's when she where she tried to commit suicide, where she had enough, because because nobody can see it. Nobody can see what you're going through. Unless you've lost an arm or lost a leg,
right? Yeah,
or if you're in a wheelchair, you get sympathy.
Yes,
but someone can be 1,000 times worse off than, say, losing your limbs, because it's the mind, and the mind is you. That's the thing. It's us. That's the being. On the outside, we are just a machine. We're just a machine. That's it. But the real you is inside, and nobody can see that. And when you're suffering, like my mother did, nobody could see that, and they wondered why she was doing the things that she was doing. And in the end, she completely had enough, and thank God I found her. That's all I can say.
Exactly. Yep.
That's something in itself.
Well, previous episodes of Talking Books, a selfless, a selfish plug here. We've had author Alan Keller on. In fact, I have one of his bracelets I'm wearing. It's called Born Resilient. That's all about mental health issues that he's dealt with. and written about. Interviewed a hockey player, a famous National Hockey League professional hockey player over here, Kelly Rudy. We talked about hockey, and then all of a sudden we drifted into a mental health discussion, and that was, wow, an eye-opener, to say the least. So this is a subject, is what I'm trying to say, that seems to be more and more coming into the forefront. It's hard for people to deal with. They think that, oh, well, you can just pull yourself up by the bootstraps and put on a happy face and you'll be fine. It doesn't quite work that way. But are you?
It doesn't work that way.
I guess what I'm trying to say, are you seeing in the UK, perhaps that we're seeing over here as well, is sort of a more interest or acceptance and ways of understanding mental illnesses?
I've noticed as I've grown to my age now, I've noticed that there is definitely, it's not as being shoved under the carpet. I find it easy to talk about myself. People that I know as well, I don't just shun them away. I talk to them, and I really talk deeply to them because of the experiences I've had in my past. But at the end of the day, it takes that person you've got to want to help, and you've got to put yourself forward, because I've always said, we can always be there for someone, we can always hold their hand. It's like you can take a horse to water, you can't make them drink it.
Yeah.
You've got to want to help yourself. But no, depression is it's the number one killer. As far as I'm aware, as far as I'm concerned, it's the number one killer in whichever form.
Yep, and
be it drinking alcohol, suicide, taking drugs.
That leads to it. Depression led to the things that might cause the demise at the end.
Well, you can have the depression, and then you go on to something like my mum. She went on to gambling, she was drinking, and she's taking these tranquilizers and things like that, and that just went on and on and on. In the end, she tried to commit suicide, which makes depression the number one killer.
Well, in our family, we've had our son tried not once but twice. Luckily, 3 times that I know of. Luckily, he didn't succeed. And now he's fighting back, as it were, and doing mental health advocacy work and things like that. Yep, so that's what goes on. This is Talking Books and Writing and Stuff, by the way. I'm your genial host, the ever-legendary Dennis Rimmer. Jason Kernan is with us from the UK. He is working on a book about his mother's, if I can put it in 5 words, his mother's struggle with mental illness. What are your hopes when this project is completed? What are you aiming for?
My aim is to fulfill my mother's wish. End of story. That's it. That is it. And if it helps just one person out of the 7.5 billion people on this planet, if it helps one person, she's done her job. And that is my goal, is to fulfill her wish. And before she passed away, that was her wish.
Right. So how far along are you in this whole endeavor?
I'd say I was hoping to be completed, to be published for April the 1st, because that was her birthday. No jokes, Dennis.
Nope.
April the 1st is April. I don't know if in America it's April Fool's Day over here, but she was born on April 1st. I was hoping to have it done by then, because it would have been a mark of her birthday. But I think it's going to take a little bit longer than that, because I've never done book writing before. I haven't got a clue. I've got to say, I am no author. I'm just trying to follow through her wishes. So I know it's got to be edited, because the way my mum wrote, you don't have it. I think I gave you the first 18 pages, wasn't it? Well, later on, she's talking away, but then the next 2 pages, she just goes into verse, like she was a different person. And then she goes into writing again. And it definitely needs a lot of editing. It definitely, because there'd be places I've heard, like, the start of a book might not happen until 102 pages down the line. So it does need put in some sort of context. But my mum, she, like I say, with this automatic handwriting, I can see by the writing the writing changes as well. It does change, and it's all over the place, I will say.
So there's a physical change in the handwriting that you noticed?
Yeah. Yes. And that's just one of the... I mean, I can go over the things that have happened, but that was just one of the things, yeah. That's why they say it's like automatic handwriting.
Right. So your first step, I guess, is, like you said, transcribing everything, and then you'll probably need, like you said, somebody to help shape the story, perhaps? Is that your goal or aim or hope?
Definitely. Most definitely. I do not have a clue. I really don't have a clue. If there's anybody out there that can help, it would be much appreciated, because I really am stuck on that one, I must admit. I know that I would have to, there's going through Grammarly and that sort of thing, the programs you can get, but it needs a professional, without a shadow of a doubt, to be able to put it into some sort of context. And the chapters and that, it's all over the place. But I'm just following through what my mum, how she put it.
Well, they always say it's the first step is the one that you have to take, and then they all follow after that. So I guess this is the first big step that you're working through right now.
In 19 years, yes.
This is Talking Books. I'm Dennis Rimmer. We have with us today Jason Kernan from over in the UK, and we're in Canada, by the way. We're just in Washington State for a couple of weeks, sort of a semi-vacation. So yes, we do have April Fool's Day, but no joke intended. So, Jason, how can people get in touch with you if someone wants to help?
They can get hold of me on Facebook, which is Jason Scott Kernan. That's my Facebook. Let me think. My email is jasonkernan0@gmail.com.
Jason Kernan, 0 as in the number, or the typed out 0?
As in the number.
Okay. And that's at gmail.com.
It certainly is.
Yes, and Kernan is Kernan. Right?
That's correct.
That's right. Okay. Jason Scott Kernan has been with us today here on Talking Books. And Jason, don't go away. We want to talk to you a bit after we finish this. But this is Talking Books. We're talking with Jason Kernan, a very interesting, heartwarming, heart-wrenching project he's working on. Getting his mother's story, her battles with mental health, out there to help even one person. And I know it can be done because I've seen it in our family and in my circle of friends and acquaintances as well. Jason Scott Kernan, thank you very much for being with us today, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for visiting with us today. This is Talking Books and Stuff with Dennis Rimmer. Contact him at dennis@talkingbooks.tk. Thank you, and may all the good news be yours. Oh, and don't forget to check out his book, The Great Canadian Notebook, available across Canada and at amazon.ca.